My name is Beatriz Castro. I'm a born and raised Brazilian. I would be talking a little bit about my educational system and Brazil's educational system. Brazilian's legislation makes it obligatory for any student from any children from the age of 6 until 18 to be attending schools. But it is very common for students to start class earlier than that. It's common for children to start attending schools at the age of 2. Then we have what would be equivalent to elementary schools here. We have Fundamental Teaching 1, that will be elementary school, and Fundamental Teaching 2, that would be middle school. And then we have 3 years of what we call middle teaching, that would be equivalent to high school. But we only have 3 years. The difference is mostly because of the way we do application processes for universities. So we have one standardized test once a year, has questions from all subjects: math, Portuguese, a foreign language, geography, sociology, philosophy, history, art history, biology, chemistry, and physics. Everything is tested on that exam. It's a national exam, and it's the only thing that colleges look into when you're applying for it. So Brazilian students don't have as much liberty as American students to choose the classes they want to do in high school. Everyone takes the same classes. My senior year, I had 12 classes, and it's so different from the US system that my classes didn't fit all in the Common App application, that even if you want to do, also a very different thing is that when you are applying to college, you apply to a program, you apply to a major, you don't apply to the university. I get accepted for that major and only that major. If I want to change majors, I have to redo all the process of applying. I have to retake the national exam. I have to reapply for the university for that specific major that I want to pursue. Another idea that's very different is public education. We don't have school districts. We have 2 types of public schools. One is funded by the city's government, and the other one is funded by the state government. But there's no such thing as school district. Any student, any children can attend any school in the city as long as there is a spot for them. Unfortunately, Brazilian public system is not very adequate. Our public schools are not good. Most of middle class and upper class, if not all of them, pay private schools for their children, and it's very common for example, a lower middle class to do some sacrifice so they can send their kids to private schools, because public schools in Brazil are very weak. And a lot of people criticize that because in Brazil, public universities are the best on the country, and public universities in Brazil are for free as public schools are. So a lot of people criticize that the government invests a lot of money in public universities and that the public universities are the best they could be, but then public schools don't level up with their potential. Because of the social inequality in Brazil, it's one of the countries with the biggest gap between the poor and the rich, and that affects also in education. So people that are upper or middle class go to private schools, and they invest a lot in their children's future and their children's education, and it's expected from those students to pursue the college. And other points, students that go to public schools, students that come from a poorer environment, don't have the same goals, and their families don't expect them to go to college. Favelas is very common for people not to finish school, even though it's a federal law that everyone under the age of 18 needs to be in school. A lot of people stop earlier than that because they need to work, and that's a little bit about our educational program in Brazil and our educational system. It's a little bit different from US's, and I think it would be very interesting to do this project, because I will have the opportunity to compare not only 2 countries' educational system, but 3 of them. I will be partnering up with Ariana Medano, which is a Venezuelan international student here at MSU, and I would have the opportunity to talk to her about the educational system in Venezuela and how it's different from the US and how it's different from Brazil's, and I will be able to compare the three of them, having a better idea of how education can change throughout the world. And I would think it will also be an interesting point to point out the difference between two different Latin countries and two different South American countries, because a lot of people have this wrong stereotype and this wrong idea that most Latin countries are the same, they carry the same values, the same culture, and that's not reality. It's very different from country to country, and I think it will be a great opportunity to talk to Ariana and see what are those differences and show to people the many differences that Latin countries have amongst themselves. And it also will be a great opportunity to step out of my cultural comfort zone and put myself in her place to try to understand her views and her values in education and how her culture affects that. So I'm very excited for this project. I think it will be a great opportunity to learn more about global education and different ways in which students are provided with education and how culture affects that.